So many Trump supporters feel that their standard of living is declining. It is. All of ours is. And their liberty is at risk. And yeah, and he put plenty of people's liberty at risk, as I went over yesterday with Justin Amash is taking the piss out of Trump. They're angry with government and corporatists. Okay. And Trump grew government in many ways, which makes them prime for outreach. All people are prime for outreach. Why isn't the LP reaching out to those Trump supporters who feel betrayed? I don't, okay, I'm going to say something that a lot of people aren't going to like. I don't think we should be specifically targeting any group of outrage, this or that, for outreach. I just think we just outreach. And who hears it, hears it. Because when you're targeting one particular group, sometimes I think you soft pedal things that you don't think that they'll like, and you emphasize things that they might, and then they really don't know what they're getting into. We see that so much with the LP, where they come in and then they don't realize that we're for the legalization of all drugs or something, because whoever was evangelizing them never told them that, because they knew it would upset them.
That happens a lot. I've seen it. I've been guilty of it in the past in some outreach areas. The conversations I've had with a lot of Trump supporters are they like a lot of what the LP stands for, except for one or two specific issues, and I think we all know what those are:
Immigration
and abortion, and trade.
and drugs.
Not as much on the drugs now as it used to be.
Oh, I think when
not the ones I've talked to.
When they think you're just talking about pot, they're okay. When you bring up that you're not just talking about pot, they aren't.
Well, I turn around and I point out they already have legalized drugs and tobacco, alcohol, and sugar. And then they're like, what? But, stop and make them think a little bit. But the thing of it, what the feedback I've had anyway, and this is my own experience talking here.
Well, and you're in a different area in Colorado Springs.
No, I had this in California when I was out there too. Was that the objection was on the immigration and the abortion thing? They either wanted it to be more pro-choice or pro-life, depending on their perspective, instead of being the somewhat neutral that it's perceived to be. And at the same time, they had issues on immigration because a lot of them felt that we should be eliminating it and so on. But whether you agree with it or not, that was their perspective. The trade thing also comes back to that. They're like, well, part of what, and I get that more now, but part of what that is there is a, and this is the nerve that Trump hit over the past 4 years, is that people felt that their needs down on Main Street were being ignored and neglected by the bureaucrats and the politicians in both the state capitals and in Washington, and to some extent in the county seats in the larger cities, in favor of the lobbyists, the K Street folks, the Wall Street folks. It was all about pursuing the profit and the dollar, and instead of actually providing a way for people to make a living. And Trump came back and said, we're going to try to fix that. And that's what struck a nerve with him.
Oh, he definitely reached a felt need. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. I just worry, and it's not just to Trump supporters, it's to any kind of supporters, that I just don't think I don't do targeting like that. I just reach out to everybody. I don't care where they came from.
I've done some targeting in the past. It depends upon, where you're at and what you're doing. Case in point, we used to do outreaches at Pride Fests, and we would, I don't want to say couch our rhetoric, although that might be a true statement, but our targeting was more deemed to what we perceived as people who were sympathetic to those causes on the left, to try to say, hey, we're with you on that. And the same thing is true on the other side with gun shows on the right. Part of that is a little bit of branding and marketing. Part of it also is trying to make that appeal.
Well, that could be seen as targeting. I can see, but I know when I work a gun show booth, I don't only talk about guns. Yeah. Let's see here. So James says, in terms of drugs, many could be persuaded. I don't know if, the comment was that a lot of these Trump supporters could be persuaded on drugs. I haven't found that. I don't know. I don't want to poke my eye out, so I don't talk while I'm doing this. I mean, maybe they could. I just know that the ones I find if you're doing outreach to the right: immigration, abortion, drugs, prostitution. Those are the no-go for them. And those are huge. Those aren't minor issues in the party. Like, there could be some things people disagree with, like some of our more obscure issues, like getting rid of driver's license or something. I don't know, something that isn't front and center so much. Those don't seem to set people off as much as these other issues. And they're not as, I mean, immigration and drugs, it's very difficult to exist in the Libertarian Party and disagree with those things. It's actually easier to disagree on abortion and exist in the Libertarian Party, I think, than disagree on immigration or drugs.
Well, part of that is because, well, I don't know about the immigration side. With the drug side, the Libertarian argument goes back to simple self-ownership.
Right. Well,
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I would say, let me even narrow that down. If you don't agree on the drug issue, I can't see you having any kind of serviceable good time in the party.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there, I think you just end up being miserable, because at least with immigration or abortion, you're going to find plenty of other people in the party who also disagree. You're going to find your little small dissident group. But I can't think of any significant amount of people in the LP that disagree on drugs.
You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians, or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business.